Welcome back to my channel, Happy Artist. I'm getting this thing shut before load shedding starts. In this video, I'm going to address something that I think everybody is trying to either avoid or fix. So I'm going to have a little bit of a look at why do acrylic pours crack and how to avoid it. There are a few things that can happen that create the cracking or crazing effect. The first is your consistencies. When you are working with much thicker consistency, if your paint is very thick, the top layer dries the fastest, while the rest of the bottom layer is still shifting and moving very slightly. And as it does that, the top layer that has already dried starts to crack. That's the easiest way to explain it. So your first way to avoid crazing and cracking is to go for the lower consistencies. But obviously you can't do a low consistency ring pour. So what happens when you are trying to avoid cracking with the thicker consistencies? You can try and slow down the drying process, especially on the top layer. With some of the research that I've done, it seems as though there's a room temperature situation as well. Anything that is between 60 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit is a safe temperature to be working in for acrylic pouring. Anything in the lower range or the higher range of those temperatures, and it will affect how your top layer dries faster or slower than the rest of the paint, and that's what will cause your cracking. So try and stay within that sort of a temperature range in the room. The next and very important thing to remember, especially for beginners who are starting out with paints and medium or products that they're not trying to break the bank with. The cheaper your medium and the cheaper your paints, the higher the chances are that you're going to get cracking. The reason for this is there is a binder in acrylic paint, in all paints. This binder acts literally to bind the pigments of the paint together so that when it dries, it has a solid, almost plastic-like finish. If you put too much water in a very low quality paint, you are going to split that binder and the pigments are going to start to break off from each other. This could cause cracking. It also doesn't help if you have high quality paint and low quality medium or only using water. Now, yes, I have seen quite a few videos from some of the experts where they say they've only used water. Keep in mind, go and have a look at the products that they are using. They are using extremely high quality paint products, which have a very, very strong binder in the paint. Therefore, they can use water to thin down their paints and not affect the binding properties. One thing I did notice in all my research though is to use distilled water and not tap water. I'm guessing the minerals in the tap water, depending on where we all live, could have a differentiation as well and cause cracking. So try to stick to the distilled water. That's why you'll see in all homemade mediums, you would need to mix a glue, adhesive, binding sort of agent with water. In mine, I use Mod Podge. Another aspect is air movement. We all want our paintings to dry super quick so that we can varnish it, put it up somewhere and make it look absolutely beautiful as soon as possible, or sell it. Because let's be honest, having to wait 2 to 3 to 4 weeks for your canvas to cure is a little bit tricky, especially if you don't have space for these things to dry out. Do not use a fan. A fan, again, will only affect the top layer of paint, making it dry out much, much faster than the rest of the paint that's underneath that top layer. Again, causing the cracking. Same sort of thing with heat. So you'll notice when you use a hairdryer, even when you're doing the Dutch technique, in most cases, you're told to use the cool setting on your hairdryer so that the heat doesn't dry out the canvas or the paint too quickly. If you use a heat gun or a torch to pop air bubbles, they are great and they're amazing at creating some cells. But keep in mind that you are not doing this evenly over the entire canvas, and again, you're only affecting the top layer. So if you do this, especially on the thicker consistencies, as you'll see in this painting over here, the top layer dried quickly and then the rest of the paint still moved under because it had not dried. So cool air or heat, not a good idea. Just try and stay away from any air movement. There are some really cool ways to fix it though, and I'm going to share 2. If this has happened, because sometimes it does happen when the room temperature is not something that you can control, or you've got a window open to assist with the ventilation in the room and that has changed the air ventilation and the air movement in the room. What you can do is, once it has dried and moved comfortably and created those cracks, You can fill those cracks with some of hopefully the excess paint that you still have from the pour. Don't just pour that onto the canvas with the bottle or cup that you use, because you'll have a lot less control. Either use a small paintbrush and brush it on in layers. You can use a syringe where you can literally suck up the paint and then slowly pour that back into the crack. You can even use a Ziploc bag where you pour it into the Ziploc bag into a corner and then cut off that corner, basically like a piping bag in cake baking. If you're not comfortable with doing that because it's going to have a solid color, and in some cases the crack has gone over a cell or something else and it's going to look very obvious, you can go a different route. Make the cracks prominent as though they were meant to be. Go for a beautiful metallic, bronze or silver, or a completely contrasting color to what you used in the pour. And fill those cracks in with the same sort of tools as I previously mentioned, to fill those cracks in with a completely different color. And that will then bring them to life. And yes, it will make them very visible, but it makes them look like you did them on purpose. If you have any other ideas that you have tried out to fix or avoid cracking, please do let me know. I've done some extensive research, but you never know, there's still something else out there that people have tried out. Let me know in the comment section below and we can all learn from you. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a magical day. Ciao for now. The reason for this is your paints have a binder. You are going to split that binder and the pigments are then going to That's why you'll see in any homemade mediums, there is a water. You can, don't,